What is up, enthusiasts? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. In 1989, Cedar Point debuted Magnum XL 200, which became the tallest and fastest roller coaster on Earth. It truly broke many records, and actually was the first coaster to go over 200 feet in height. Not only that this was a milestone coaster, but it actually started a movement in the coaster industry. That movement today is known as the Coaster Wars, and from the late 80s to the mid 2000s, the main focus of the Coaster Wars was to build the tallest and fastest roller coaster the world has seen. In many parks including Kennywood Park, Fuji-Q Highland, Six Flags Magic Mountain, Cedar Point, and Six Flags Great Adventure have attempted the record. Some notable coasters include Fujiyama in Japan, Millennium Force at Cedar Point, the first coaster to go over 300 feet, and same at Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point, which went over 400 feet for the first time. But the current tallest coaster was built in 2005, and we haven't had a tallest coaster since. It's been 15 years. So why? Well, my prediction is that the Coaster Wars have pretty much moved on from height and speed to basically just the quality of the layout. The best coasters are not King to Con Dragster anymore. Now they're the Intamin Blitz coasters and the RMC hybrids that focus more on the unique elements of the ride than the general statistics. Now, do I think world's tallest coaster will ever be attempted again? Well, of course, it's a big way to draw in the crowds and a good way to say that you have the tallest. In fact, what would be a better height to go for right now than 500 feet? Imagine being the first park in the world, and the only park in the world, to say that you have a coaster over 500 feet tall. That would be a pretty impressive milestone to have as a park. But before we get into that, we gotta talk about a lot of factors first. First of all, what manufacturers would be brave enough to manufacture this roller coaster? Well, I got 3 manufacturers for you, and they're basically the big 3 manufacturers in the community right now, so let's talk about them. The first one is, of course, Intamin. This is the one I find most possible, as they've attempted and succeeded at building the tallest roller coaster in the world many times in the past. They currently have the tallest coaster in the world, the King to Ka, and the fastest to Formula Rosa. But would they attempt it again? I truly believe so. Intamin will do whatever a park tells it to do and go to the stars with it. Another company I feel like would attempt a 500-foot coaster would be none other than RMC or Rocky Mountain Construction. Alan Schilke has got a lot of creativity left in him, and he wants to attempt a 500-foot T-Rex in the future. The third and final manufacturer I want to talk about that I could see building this 500-foot masterpiece would be Bolliger & Mabillard, otherwise known as B&M. And the only model I could really see them go up to this height would be are the hypercoasters. Think of a 500-foot version of Fury 325. Fury 525? Well, maybe a park could do that someday. I could see B&M doing this because it would be a lot better on the operations, but at the same time, it would be very expensive. But without further ado, let's get into the parks I believe could get a 500-foot coaster and the first 500-foot coaster. The first I want to talk about is a park that's international, and it's not just a park, it's a park chain. I'm talking about the Suning China Holdings Parks, otherwise known as the Wanda Parks. They have made 14 amusement parks since 2009, and they continue to expand absolutely rapid. Some of their most famous coasters are Coaster Through the Clouds, Soaring with Dragon, and Falcon. I truly feel like they can make a 500-foot coaster in one of their parks because first of all, they have the money, and second of all, they like to experiment a lot. They have been expanding most of their major parks, so I truly don't know what park would get it, but at the same time, it would be cool if it were one of those parks. Another park I could see getting the first 500-foot coaster would be Energylandia. Energylandia is this park in Zader, Poland that has been rapidly expanding since the early 2010s. And they have some new coasters that are being built right now. And I say that plural because Energylandia is truly one heck of a park and has been expanding so much, probably the fastest expanding park in the world. Now, saying that, they still have a lot of room to expand as well as a lot of money. And with that money, I could see a company trying to attempt a 500-foot coaster there. I feel like they would go with Intamin as they've had a relationship with Intamin, maybe RMC depending on what's the best coaster in the park, Zadra or Hyperion, but they still have a lot of room on that block that they bought. Next would be a pretty obvious park to put on this list. It's of course Cedar Point, the roller coaster capital of the world, and they're not shy of records. They were the first park to add a 200-foot coaster, a 300-foot coaster, and a 400 coaster. Why wouldn't they go any taller? They could add another 100 feet onto that record, and be the first coaster to go over 500 feet. I don't really see a long drawn out RMC or B&M in this park, since the park doesn't have a lot of space to work with, but it would be pretty cool to see one of these tower coasters appear at Cedar Point. Now, the reason I think that it might go to this park as well is because there have been many teasers of a 500-foot coaster, which I was actually present for one of them, Winter Chill Out 2019, at the secret press meeting between Tony Clark and Jason McClure. Tony Clark once said, "Oh, what about the 500-foot coaster we're adding?" And Jason just said, "You mean the one that's 500 feet long?" to bar the attention from the guests. Seriously though, they've been teasing it a lot, including some of the Christmas videos and all of that. Now, another amusement park chain I want to talk about are the SeaWorld parks. Now, if you don't know, in the last few years, SeaWorld has been pushing their attention away from the animal shows due to controversies. For example, this past year, they have added coasters to every single one of their parks, Busch Gardens and SeaWorld parks alike. SeaWorld is truly expanding rapidly. Now, a big problem with every single one of their parks is land. A park that I could see getting it might be Busch Gardens Tampa, but they're still pretty landlocked when it comes to the land because most of it is for the animals. If they came out with something like a tower coaster, I could see something similar to that, and it would be a pretty good fit at a SeaWorld park. Now, the last park I want to talk about is a park you probably didn't expect to see on this list, but it is Fuji-Q Highland in Japan. Of course, like I said, in the 90s, they came out with Fujiyama, which once held the record as the tallest coaster in the world, but they could easily do it again. Think about the innovative coasters they've came out with. Dododonpa is the fastest accelerating roller coaster in the world to this day. Ijunaika is the tallest 4D coaster to this day, and Tagashiba is one of the steepest coasters in the world. They're coming out with these unique rides. They don't like tradition, they like to go extreme. Now, they are coming out with a $33 million project coming in 2022. What could that be? It could possibly be the new tallest coaster in the world. Now, 33 might be a little cheap for the tallest coaster in the world, but if they played their cards right with Intamin, maybe added less expensive LSM fins instead of the hydraulic systems, they could probably do it. Now, a lot would go into it, and they have a little bit of space to work with their former Wild Mouse area, but they need a little bit more land than that. They still have a lot of area when it comes to the parking lot and surrounding areas near the park, and with the Mount Fuji aesthetic next to it, this 500-foot roller coaster would truly crown over the rest of the attractions at Fuji-Q Highland, when the second tallest attraction would be half of this height. Yeah, this ride would truly shake the world, and a lot of enthusiasts would be flying out to Fuji-Q Highland in Japan. But of course, this could be something completely different. This could be something innovative in another way. Who knows when it comes to Fuji-Q Highland? But that's basically my video. See, a 500-foot roller coaster could be many different things. It could be anything from this massive hyper-style coaster to a coaster built onto a skyscraper. We really don't know at this point. And at this point, we might as well just sit back and enjoy the ride of the news coverage of all these coasters, because it's about to get pretty interesting, I'm telling you. But this is Cedar Flags, and I'm going to sign off for now. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.